I think the marketing aspect is really interesting for our audience. So from the perspective of an educator, can you give any tips for successful marketing in Bahrain?
I think if you're going to market it to the student, obviously marketing would differ from the students to the parents. Students are more likely to lean towards sort of a busy place, not a city, but their facilities, very sort of, it has a buzz, sort of a student culture. They get to mix opportunities, get involved, things like that. And I think if you market that, I think it's very important that there's a nice student community. It's something to give them something different than what they have in Bahrain. Also, accommodation, things they like to know that there's a campus, sort of get that university life. When you're marketing to parents, you always have to make sure that it's very serious, it's very academic, and it's very safe and secure. Now, although when students are going abroad, obviously they're going to study, so academic is number one, but what students like to see as well, that even though the academics are very important, they'd like to see that they could also get involved and from a social perspective. So give them a bit of sort of academic seriousness, social involvement. I think that's the best way to market it. And also, obviously, that there are people from the region. We do have students from, let's say, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and things like that. So they don't feel that it's very remote. I think that's the best thing to do.
That's super interesting. But this is like always these 2 points. It's the one perspective of the student and then the perspective of the parent. Are there any channels or platforms specifically you would recommend where to advertise, how to advertise?
It's always the number one, I think, main way to market. It's always best for the representative, institution representative, to come down to Bahrain, because they feel that sense of security that they know someone from that campus can speak to them out of experience. What also helps is students from that university, so from the region, coming down to speak to the students. So it's like a student-to-student interaction. So it's not always from an adult's perspective, but also from a student's perspective. Other platforms obviously are social media is very, very attractive to students, and all of these Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. That's also, we're speaking of youth for undergraduate language schools. Obviously postgraduate students have a sort of, they're a more mature level. But I think, yes, face-to-face meetings are always, and just to make sure that the institution is always sort of, every now and again, they're always around. They just have an ad in newspaper or something on, or very active on Twitter, for example, or come every now and again, like for exhibitions and education fairs. So I think it's a mixture of all of these things is very, very important. It's not just one channel that would get you to the students and parents.
Lovely. Thank you so much for giving us these wonderful insights about Bahrain, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you for having me.